All right, everybody. As some more guests are filtering in, welcome to another segment here on the KO17 app. I am super excited about our guest here. So my name is Kylie Omiller. I am very, very excited to have fellow Long Island native, Team USA star, my WPLL Fight teammate, just an all-around rock star here today. I'll give her a nice formal introduction, but thank you all for being here, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today, especially with September 1st kind of happening yesterday and all the excitement in the lacrosse world. So for those of you who are listening here, thank you again for being here, for listening, for tuning in, and without further ado, I'd love to introduce our guest here tonight. Sam Apuzzo is here in the building, and I'm so excited. Sam, thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Am I frozen right now?
No, you're good.
I'm good. Okay, good. My computer's all acting up right now.
So for those of you listening, Sam herself, she is a Boston College alum, also a coach on staff there now. She is amongst a million awards that she's won, she is an incredible lacrosse player, but also an incredible human. So she's got all sorts of program points and goals and draw control records at BC. She's a Tewaaraton winner, a two-time Tewaaraton finalist, three-time first-team All-American. She's a member of Team USA, member of the WPLL Fight with myself. And just like I mentioned, she is just an all-around awesome person, a great person for young girls to look up to. And of course, lucky enough to call her a teammate and a friend, because I know we were like rivals in college. So this is very exciting that we're on the same side of the wagon now. But Sam, again, like I said, not like there could be a million things nice that I could say about you. And I'm so excited to be here today and kind of tap into like really what makes you who you are and how you got to this level. So first and foremost, the first segment that we like to start off with here, I think a lot of our interviews and things that we do, like in the lacrosse world, we just kind of, people just dive right into the lacrosse questions, right? And we like to go a little bit deeper and kind of really tap into who you are as a person. So three quick little questions that I like to call off to a good start. So let us know something that you are thankful for today, Sam.
For today, I'm thankful for probably the support of my parents. I talked to them today, which for like an hour, which was really nice to kind of talk to them because I just moved back up to Boston this week. So not having them around in the house. So I'm thankful for like their support and everything.
Well, that's awesome. How was the move? I know moving is definitely difficult. So how was especially right now too, how was the move going back up there?
It was good. I was home for the whole summer due to COVID. So it's nice to kind of get back into being in Boston and kind of back into some normalcy for what it is right now. Moving was a little, not too hectic. I stay in the same apartment, but just moved room. So I got the easy way out today.
That's super nice. Because moving can definitely be a hassle. So thankful for those parents of yours, right? But also, so another thing here, something that you are proud to say that you've accomplished today.
Oh, well, because I just moved, I finally unpacked everything, which was a big accomplishment for me.
Unpacking is probably, I think, the worst part of moving. When you pack, you're like super excited, and then when you get there, you're like, okay, can somebody do this for me?
I know, I could live out of a bag for like 2 weeks if I had to.
I know, I'm the same way. Oh my goodness, it's probably because we kind of have to with the life that we live, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Everything we're doing. All right, and last but not least, something that you're pumped to go out and tomorrow, it's in the next coming week, in the coming months, what would that be for you?
A little bit like more lighthearted is that I started playing tennis this summer. So tomorrow I'm playing tennis against Tewaaraton. So I'm excited to like compete with her tomorrow.
When was the last time you saw Dems?
I saw her middle of August. I literally just got off a FaceTime with her like 2 minutes ago. So we talk a lot.
I was gonna say, you guys had an inseparable bond on the lacrosse field at BC, right? I'm sure it was on and off, and I think like on and off the lacrosse field, and I think that there are definitely those people that we all meet, you know, through the sports that we play and through life and the things that like life has given us. So I would definitely say Dempsey's your girl. I think anyone could tell that, right?
My go-to.
That's really funny. You're the second person who has told me that they picked up tennis over these last couple months. Marie said
Really?
it.
It's like such a good workout. I love it. I'm not like great at it yet, but it's fun.
Oh man, I think maybe that might be my next thing. I've never been good at it, and I think it's because I'm like impatient. I don't know. I know what I
It's
think.
really
Like,
frustrating.
yeah. Well, that's so funny. Let me know how that game goes. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
Tell Dempsey.
Maybe we get it live streamed or something.
Yeah, you should. Honestly, people need the content like that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's hop right into it. I mean, I know that you just said that you got into tennis, but that's recent, right? Growing up though, we grew up, you know, a couple towns apart from each other. Obviously you played lacrosse. Like when did you first pick up a stick? You know, how did you get into the game? And if there were other sports involved, like what was your intro to the sport of lacrosse like?
Yeah, I actually grew up, I was more of a soccer player and basketball player. I didn't start playing lacrosse till fourth grade. A lot of my neighbors, some of my best friends still, were playing the season before, and they're like, "You're an athlete, just try it." And I have 3 older brothers, so my oldest brother, who's closest to me in age, played lacrosse, and I just like always thought it was like his thing, like he'll do it, I'll do soccer, basketball. And then my parents finally like went out, got me a stick, and I literally remember them coming home with all my equipment. I was hysterical crying because I thought that they wasted all this money on me because I was like, I'm not sure I want to play, like all this stuff. And then I ended up playing. I loved it. It was such like a fun pace of a sport that I really enjoyed. And all my friends were playing it from West Babylon, and West Babylon actually had a really good like youth program. So I kind of got into the sport at a good time, and I kind of just ran with it after that.
Yeah. So would you say that like, obviously not right when you picked it up, right? Sometimes it takes some people a little bit longer to like get into it or really fall in love with it. I think it's definitely a sport where, and we see it all the time when we're working with younger girls, right? It's not easy to first pick up a lacrosse stick and like, just be awesome at it. It's definitely something that takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
So definitely respect that about that story. But where do you think it switched for you? Where you said you were big in soccer and basketball, where do you think that switch was along your journey where lacrosse became first?
I think it started when I was in like 6th grade, 7th grade, when I realized like the opportunities lacrosse had for me, whether going to play in college. I know 6th grade is really early to think about me in college, but I knew that I was pretty decent. I played on a competitive travel team, and I really enjoyed it. And I really saw myself kind of getting to that next level through lacrosse rather than soccer and basketball. And I was decent at the other sports, but I knew I had definitely a better chance of getting at a really good school and kind of furthering my kind of academic career, like potential for after college. So, and then in 8th grade is when I like really took that switch where I put lacrosse first. I kind of slowed down playing the other travel sports. I still played basketball and soccer, but I kind of had a more focus on lacrosse at that point.
Yeah, that sounds super familiar. I know that when we were growing up on the topic of, you know, September 1st, which for those of you who don't know listening is the now date that the next year of rising juniors, get to finally come in contact with college coaches. So it's been a little hectic in the lacrosse world, today being September 2nd. But do you remember those days? Because I remember, you know, when we were in 7th and 8th grade, people our age were already verbally committing because there wasn't a rule yet.
Yeah.
So imagine that, right? Like you said, you were in 6th grade and you were starting to think about, you know, like maybe I could play this in college, but that was the reality, right? Like, and isn't it so crazy to see the difference?
I know, we had such a different like recruiting and kind of whole entire thing. Like we were doing, like I was doing recruiting trips as an 8th grader, and I'm like, imagine doing that now as an 8th grader. I'm like, that just doesn't make sense. But like the thought of it, it's crazy that we used to do that stuff.
I know, it's crazy, and I'm so glad they made the changes, right?
Because definitely for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do think back on it, like what what is it, 8th grade, 12, 13 years old. Like, again, I think my biggest argument for that, like you said, is when you look back on that, you're like, oh my goodness, you don't even know what high school is like yet. Like, how do you know what college is going to be like? But it's really cool that you were able to kind of like, find your love for lacrosse that young, and really kind of recognize, of course, with like help from people around you, that, you could make a really cool future from the sport, and from your passion from the sport. So on the topic of those other sports that you said that you continue to play, right? Like, what do you think were some of the things, maybe character traits, leadership traits, like teamwork aspects, things you maybe took from certain coaches or different games or different kind of like ways that you moved out on the basketball court or the soccer field that you took into your lacrosse career?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of my game is kind of translatable from my basketball career. Like, I always think all my defensive attacking kind of skills that I have, I think I definitely take from my basketball, like my ride, kind of forcing and all that stuff. Because like, I played midfield in high school, but I kind of used that defensive skills and that my like defensive and intuitive stuff through basketball. And like, I had really great coaches through basketball too. Some of my favorite coaches, just because it is such a small team, so you get to know your coach, your player, your teammates a lot more than I think with a soccer team where there's maybe 20 girls, 25 girls. But I think basketball definitely helped me the most on the lacrosse field, I think.
I would definitely say that you are one of the best riders I've ever seen in my life. So lucky I'm on the same attacking unit as you now, and not like a defender running up the field. But no, I think that's so huge, right? Like, something that we always say to young girls that we're talking to is to continue to play other sports if you have the opportunity to, if you have the ability to. And I think, you're a perfect example of being able to tie those skills into your lacrosse, kind of like what makes you who you are as a lacrosse player. Kind of off that, actually. So I think this was something that this randomly came up when I was talking to Alex Ost, which we all know. We love Alex. And I think we started to talk about, like, you said your ride is huge for your game, right? But what if you could explain, or if you could describe your playing style in like a couple words, what would you describe it as? Because I think this is such an interesting question. I still haven't been able to answer it myself about myself. I think we hear it from coaches and you hear it from like articles and stuff like that, but you never get to explain yourself. So what would you say about yourself there?
I don't really see myself as like a really like creative, like tricky person. I would say I'm very, like, in a few words, I would say like I'm upright, maybe like an upright writer. And then also like methodical of what I'm doing, like strategic in that sense. I don't like to exert too much energy if I don't have to.
Okay, well, that's huge. I mean, not only on the lacrosse field, but in life, if you don't have to put extra energy towards it, right? Like, why do so? That's awesome. I love that you said methodical. Like, that's a great word, but upright actually caught me off guard. That was funny.
I just like, I'm not very like fancy in the sense. Like, I cut, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
You cut, you dodge, you score, you get the draw, you ride, all the good things. You got everything in your pocket. So I would definitely say an all-around player there. That's for sure. That's awesome. I think that's such an interesting topic, right? A lot of athletes get kind of like shoved in their face.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what kind of player you are, right? But we're never able to be like, hey, this is what kind of player I see myself as. So I love that you said that. It's cool to think about, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we were talking a little bit about like your journey growing up in the sport of lacrosse, right? When did you realize that BC was the spot for you throughout your recruiting process? What was it that turned you there?
Yeah, BC was actually one of the last schools that I decided to visit. It definitely wasn't on my radar. During my whole recruiting process, I was kind of hoping I would go to like a top school or like someone that like constantly always in like the championship or in the finals. So in the earlier parts of my recruiting process, I was going to a lot of those schools, a lot of big ACC schools, the Big Ten. And then it wasn't until a family friend had mentioned that Acacia was taking over the program because it was going to be her first year. And she's a really great coach, has like really great plans. She's bringing in a lot of great players to kind of boost up this BC team. And that really interested me. And I trusted this family friend that kind of gave me the advice. So I ended up going on a visit to them. And beforehand, I didn't even know that BC was a college at all. I've never even heard of it. So that was pretty embarrassing going to the school. I'm like, what the? So I kind of after that, and I was like, I walked on campus, and I think some people have this experience and some people don't, where you walk on to the campus and you know that's the place for you. And I luckily did. And I was like, this is where I want to be. This is exactly where I fit, which was like a great kind of thing for me, because I'm really picky in the sense where I never know I want to gotta go some this way, go far away, stay close. So getting onto BC campus and knowing that was the spot for me kind of sealed the deal. And I love the coaches, I love the girls on the team, and it all just kind of fell into place.
That's awesome. I mean, you mentioned it perfectly, right? Like some people are lucky enough to have that moment, like that, okay, I'm home kind of moment, right? And that happened for me too. And again, it was another one of those situations, like you said, that it wasn't on your radar. And that's what's really cool about the recruiting process. And, you know, people who have these dreams and have these aspirations for themselves, sometimes they're behind hidden doors, right?
Yeah.
Like they're behind in places that you never would have imagined, or at colleges that you didn't even know existed. So that's really funny. And now you're like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine my life without BC.
Exactly. Literally could not. You can't get me out of the school.
Trust me, you and I are the same in that sense. It's so funny. So I think, like, can you think back to, you know, kind of that process for you, right? Like before you went on the visits, as it was getting, you know, kind of exciting and you knew like, hey, I want to play at the highest level. Like what were some things that your mentors, maybe coaches, parents, even yourself, what were you telling yourself that was going to be important for you to maybe like showcase on the field? What did you want college coaches to see in you when you were playing?
I think like during those big showcase tournaments and all that stuff, there is a lot of stress, there some anxiety going into it. And people always told me, like some of my mentors, like at Shannon Smith, she's a kind of a Long Island player. So she's gone through it beforehand, and she was one of my coaches, and she was always just like, take your time, like don't stress, like a showcase is there like for you to be able to really kind of show all your talent. So being able to show that you're a very well-rounded player, that you're not one-dimensional, was always like a big thing for me. So when I was getting recruited, I was a midfielder. So working hard on the defensive end just as hard as I was working on the offensive end, working twice as hard on the draw. So making sure that I'm not just I'm not placed into a box as just a righty attacker or just like good at the draw. So I'm really kind of focused on making myself as dynamic and as versatile as possible. So when I did get to college, or if I got recruited, that I was able to go on to multiple different avenues. I wasn't just kind of put into a certain box that I necessarily didn't have to be in if I was able to showcase that I had a little bit more talent than just one thing.
So important. You know what our coach Joe Spalina calls that? He calls that not being a one-trick pony. So yeah. I love that you were saying it in a different way, because I've heard trick pony a lot in my career. So I love that you were saying a one-dimensional box. I love that. Different way of saying it, but same idea. I love it. So, I mean, you finally get to BC, right? What's it like stepping onto campus? What's it like, you know, getting into those workouts? And can you talk a little bit about your freshman year? I mean, I know you had some ups and downs, right? Can you talk about what that was like for you?
Yeah. So getting there freshman year, there's definitely a lot getting thrown at you. You're now going to conditioning, you're going to strength training. It's just a different pace than I was doing in high school. Definitely in the fall is a little bit hard to adjust to, but as you're there, you got to get used to the schedule. You get used to your time management, which was really helpful for me. I had a lot of really great upperclassmen at the time when I was a freshman that kind of guided us through everything. So you never felt like you were doing it on your own. I kind of, like you were saying, I had a few hiccups because my freshman year halfway through the season, I tore my ACL. So that was a really hard time for me, just because I've always had so many friends that have done it. And at the time I was like, that's never going to happen to me. Like, it wasn't a thought process that could be something that I went through. And it was kind of a slap in the face, in the sense where this could happen to anyone. And like, you have to be tough enough to be ready for it. And that was some of like the best advice I got during my ACL was from my head coach, Keisha. She called me right after I got my MRI results. And she was like, listen, you can be sad for 24 hours. And after those 24 hours, you have to get to work. And I was like, you're right. Like, I can't sit here and sulk. I can't just be sorry for myself. Like, I have to prepare, because my teammates are counting on me in 12 months to be ready for the next season. So that was kind of like the biggest thing. And it was definitely a hard moment in my life, but I think it really made me a better teammate. Also, like, so much more mentally strong, I think. And I think for lacrosse and even all sports, like, mental strength is not really talked about as much as it should. And it's such a big part of our game and a big part of athletics in general. So I think that kind of experience really made me realize that I am a lot more mentally strong than I initially thought, and kind of made me a better player on the field when I get in those tough moments or those kind of on the line games, just because I've gone through tough experiences before.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that's definitely not an easy time to look back on. So, but I think that obviously it's made you a stronger person, stronger player, stronger teammate, like you said. And, if anyone ever goes through something like that, you can definitely reach out to Sam, because she's got some great advice right there. So speaking on the other side of that, can we share some of your favorite memories from BC? Like some locker room moments, some of the bus trips, or, I know you guys won some really, really massive games. So what were some of like your favorite memories from those 4 years?
I think probably my favorite memory was our first kind of trip to the Final Four in 2017. We were such a dark horse to get in there. And I think we all looked around, we're like, we're playing in the Final Four this weekend. Like, we were all like surprised, but like felt like we earned it. We fought through a lot of hard games to get there. And I think walking on to Gillette Stadium my sophomore year, and for those who don't know Gillette Stadium, it's where the Patriots play. So huge Massachusetts, like a holy grail of a place. So being able to walk on the same field as like Tom Brady and all those players it was such like a surreal feeling. And you turn your head, and like all these like billboards and all these stands were like, how are we, a small BC lacrosse team, playing at Gillette Stadium right now among some of the best athletes in the world? So that was kind of like a very surreal moment for me, and I think my whole team, which was definitely kind of something I'll remember forever, being able to play there.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm sure it was a completely different feeling than playing there with the WPLL a couple of years later, right? I mean, like, that is like, first of all, it was such a cool experience to just be there. Like, I remember that, playing in that game. But I mean, when we talk Final Four, like, that's something, like you were saying, like, you guys looked around and you're like, did we really do this? That's something that as a lacrosse player, like, it's like the holy grail of the sport, right? Playing in the Final Four, and Division I, playing in the Final Four, and just knowing that there's so many eyes on you, right? Like, what was that like, being there? And like, what was the atmosphere like? Like the people there, were the stands packed? Like, was it just super exciting to be there?
Yeah, it felt like we had the home field advantage, because we were in Boston, we were in Massachusetts. So everyone's family, their friends, like, I've had more people come to that game than I probably have like been around at all. Like, I think that was probably our most sold out game we had at BC, which was so exciting. The fans were going crazy. We had a night game that first round, and BC kind of our like color, our stand colors, everyone wears neon green. So like looking to the sideline and seeing a ocean of neon green was an unreal feeling, and it kind of just definitely like hyped us up and got us going a little bit more to see everyone out there.
That's awesome. You kind of gave me chills just thinking about that, right? One of those like sport moments where you just like, you can describe it and still just remember the exact feeling being in it. Those moments are so important. We hold on to those forever, right? So something you mentioned before that I thought was, really important to touch back on, and I wanted to talk to you about as well, right? Like you said that, the mental strength part of sports, and kind of like that self-confidence, going through tough times and being able to bounce back, hitting obstacles, being able to climb over them, and then using all those things to be able to kind of move forward and attack new challenges, right, in the future. So I think like, what can you say about maybe in the minute sense of it, right? When we're on the field and we make a mistake, or when we're, down a couple goals, like what is going through your head to kind of like come back from those mistakes, and how do you get your teammates up and at 'em ready to go again?
I kind of rely a lot on my teammates, but more in the sense where whenever I'm in a slump or I just dropped the ball or I had a turnover, I always think like, Dempsey needs me right now, so I can't sit and kind of be sorry for myself. So like, or my defender needs me to go help and help in the ride and slow down the ball. So a lot of that, whenever I'm in a rut or in a bad place, I always just think about my teammates are working so hard. Like for me to feel bad or sit out a play is just doing them a disservice and not helping. So I kind of rely on my teammates and knowing that they need me at my best to try to really get me through that and kind of get over that hump and keep going and keep playing as hard as I can.
Love it. So I think something that you said was awesome, and something that I think is really big on Team USA, right, is like knowing that everybody, has their own superpower, like Coach Jenny Levy always says, right? And just kind of like relying on our teammates and knowing that, if I give 110%, like I know Sam's going to be next to me giving 110%, like everyone on the field. And when that's collectively put together, it's going to be a really awesome product out there. And we're going to ultimately, be fighting to the end. Right. And I think a question that, we get a lot, and a question that a lot of, young girls have asked through KO17 lacrosse as well, is, in the locker room before games or in warm-ups, right? Like if you're super nervous, or if you're, a young girl, think back to your like showcase days, your tournament days, right? You're like on the drive with your parents down the Jersey Turnpike, like super anxious, really nervous, just thinking about all the possible things that could go right, all the things that could go wrong. How are you staying like mentally in it? What are some tips and tricks that you kind of have taken from your journey and kind of help you in those moments?
Yeah, I mean, even like in college when I used to get nervous, but when I was younger too, something that I always like told myself or I've kind of thought is like to stay present and stay what I'm doing right now, to not think too far ahead or think too much. Because me personally as a player, when I get in my head and I create like crazy scenarios and all that stuff, it definitely throws me off. So something that I really focus on is staying in the moment and kind of dealing with what I need to at the time. So whether I get on the field and I'm just focusing straight on my stretching, I'm not thinking about the first whistle, or when I get up to the draw, I'm just thinking about this first draw, not the play we're going to run when we get down there and get the ball. So just playing each moment by moment and not overthinking it, not creating these scenarios, because that can just kind of drag you down and you're losing that strength and that energy on thinking stuff that may not even happen, versus kind of staying in the moment and really exerting all that energy in what you're doing currently.
That's an amazing piece of advice, because I think in sports, and especially in lacrosse, right, we're a lot of times taught, especially as we get to higher and higher levels, taught to think ahead, think a play ahead, think a slide ahead, think a moment ahead just to kind of be ready. But you're doing this in a sense of more keeping yourself grounded, and keeping yourself in the moment. Because if you look too far ahead, then you're just going to find yourself in all these different mental scenarios. And I think that's something really, really important to take. Definitely something I'm going to add into my routine. Definitely need a little bit more of that, right? Sometimes it gets exciting out there. I just want to make like 87 plays. But like you said, like you gotta stay, in it and stay in the moment, especially for your teammates. Just putting the two things that you've talked about last together, right? Like those two things are so, so important, and it's what makes up who you are as a player and how you've become so successful as a player and a teammate. So also as the incredible lacrosse player that you are, you've also become this really important role model, right, for young girls. And a lot of young girls listening to this right now, right, like they idolize you. They want to be Sam Apuzzo when they grow up. And that is really special. Like what's really special about having that platform is that you can be completely yourself, right? And you can really promote just like, hey, this is Sam Apuzzo, like this is who I am. And like, if you want me to be your role model, like this is me, right? What would you say if someone, were to be looking up to you? What is like one of your biggest messages to these young girls that you want to be able to portray?
I think like first, I never really imagined that I would be in a position like this. So it's kind of crazy to even think like you and I, like we grew up on Long Island, everyone plays lacrosse, and for the fact that we are in this position, we do have this platform to not only share who we are, but like kind of motivate and help the next generation of lacrosse players, which is such an incredible honor and like something that I take really serious. And it is really important to me to be able to be a role model for other people. I think one of the biggest things that I would like to take in my game, like to be a role model and kind of express, is that to be like a really lighthearted player and kind of not take yourself too seriously. I always loved having fun when I play, and like I think that's said a lot too, but just like enjoying the game and when you're making mistakes, especially in like a practice or anything, be able to laugh it off. Like at BC practice, I used to be cracking up the whole time every time I missed a pass or I did something kind of silly. It's like it's okay to laugh at yourself. It's okay to be like have fun with it. It's not always like do or die. It's you should be enjoying what you're doing, and something I always enjoy, and it kind of really hopefully it reflects in how I play, but definitely have a little bit more fun with it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, I think from playing with me for the last 2 years that I'm definitely the same way. So we're always cracking jokes out there. I think those are some of my favorite moments, and that kind of like ties into my next question that I want to ask you about. But, being able to kind of go from playing college ball, being with your sisters, right, for 4 years and chasing after those dreams together and having those moments on and off the field. And then, taking that next step into the professional realm, and everything that we do now, right, and making all these new friends and all these people that went to completely different colleges that we were playing against in the biggest games of our lives. Like, for example, you and I, right? Like, this is really cool that we get to be able to come together. Like, 2017, we probably wouldn't have thought this was going to happen, right? Like, and none of us did. And it's so cool that we are able to play for the same colors now, and be able to kind of learn these little nuances about each other on the field when we go to these training weekends with Team USA and, games with the Fight over the last couple summers. And it's really, really fun. But I think, just going off of that, like, what are some of your, favorite moments, and what would you say is your favorite part about representing, Team USA and being able to go to those training weekends with those girls?
Yeah, it is crazy like that we are like on the same team now, which is never imagined. But I think in all honesty, like being on Team USA is the fact that we can do that. The fact that someone I looked up to, like Kayla Trainer, when I was like in high school, like her playing in college, it's like the fact that her and I now coach with BC together, like we're really close friends, and now I get to play with her is just like mind blowing to me that I'm able to play with someone that I looked up to growing up, like when I was in high school, and these incredible players. Like there's so much talent, there's so much personality on our team that everything flows. Like you're saying, we all come from different places. We all come from different colleges, different places around the country. And like the fact that we can come on a team only seeing each other so many times a year and be able to have such good team chemistry, flow so well. And it definitely takes time. I think me coming in only last year, I think it was a little me and Dempsey coming and we were like a little intimidated because it just there's so much talent, so much like really big names in lacrosse and coming on, but it's great to see like how everyone meshes together so nicely and everyone complements one another on the field and also off. So I think that's definitely my favorite part of it.
I love it. You said it perfectly. We complement each other on and off the field. And, I think one of the coolest parts too, right, is we're all like in the same boat in a sense of we came from college lacrosse. Like I said, right, we were with like 30 other people every single day. You had lift, you had conditioning, you had practice, you probably had class together with some of them, you probably lived together with some of your teammates too. And then, you go into this world now where you're coaching or you're on your own and, you come together every so often, every couple months with your team. What was that kind of like transition like for you? You said it was a little bit new for you and Dempsey last year, right? And I know all of us kind of struggled with it a little bit differently, right? Like it's a totally different realm, but you definitely still got to be playing your best lacrosse. So, I think what was some of your struggles with that?
I think not being in college anymore, I think my motivation of working out, going out and playing wall ball, it's not that it wasn't there. I think it was harder to find because now I didn't have a schedule of someone telling me exactly what time I have to be there, what time I have to be at conditioning. Now I kind of had to make that schedule for myself, which is something I'm still kind of working on. It's not the easiest because no one's really there. The only one that's keeping you accountable is yourself. Mm-hmm. Like when you're in the moment. So I think that's something that I've struggled with, but I've been working on. And I think kind of just going off what we were saying, going up as much as we do mesh and kind of we have really great chemistry, it's still kind of a learning process of learning your teammates, especially on the offensive end. Like me learning how you dodge, Kylie, and then also learning how like Molly Hendricks likes to pass the ball. And I think stuff like that came second nature to when you were at like in college. When I was at BC, like I knew my teammates back and front because I was with them for 8 hours a day at practice and all that other stuff. So it came a little bit easier. So now I'm kind of realizing that I do have to learn this, and it's a little bit more sped up than it had been in the past, but it's so important to our game and to our like team chemistry. I think that definitely it's a learning process, and you kind of realize it, but it eventually comes and it makes it a little bit easier.
For sure. I can definitely, back you up on that. I think it goes from like a team mentality and a team motivation, right, to more of a self and an inner motivation and an inner purpose that you got to try and find. And it's definitely an ongoing process, right? Like some days are better than others. And I think we can definitely connect that to the last couple months and what the world has been going on, what's been going on in the world, and with all the COVID and everything that has, kind of canceled a lot of our games, canceled a lot of our regularly scheduled things. We've had to kind of look inward and find a lot of, inner motivation, not just at the professional level now, but all the way down to the youth level and through to the coaching and through to, everything in life, not just on the lacrosse side. So it's good to have a little bit of practice with it, I guess, right? Talk to us. I mean, who is Sam Apuzzo off the field? Like without lacrosse, what are some of the things that you're into? I mean, you have an adorable new puppy. Can we talk about that?
I miss him so much because he's actually my family dog. So he's back in West Babylon on Long Island without me. I have pictures all over my room of him. I'm so sad. So that's a sore subject right now.
Is his name Ollie?
Yeah. Isn't that your dog's name too?
Yes. Oh, how fun. Look at us. What else? What else does Sam Apuzzo love to do?
I actually, so since in Boston, I don't live far from the beach, so I go to the beach a lot, on Long Island. I love going to the beach. So that's kind of like a really good, like, relaxing pastime for me. I was never really a big reader until quarantine happened. So doing a lot of reading now, which is really good for me. Just,
Nice.
yeah, it's definitely been going well. I'm definitely not the fastest reader, and that's okay. But I feel better when I'm like not just staring at my computer and watching TV, like being able to pick up a book and like learn something. I read a lot of memoirs, which I think some people kind of think they're boring. I find them really interesting. So,
Do you have any good recommendations for us?
I just recently read Educated. I don't know if you've ever heard that one. It's a really good one. Definitely pretty crazy, but it's really good.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Always need a new, book to add to the list. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Anything else you wanted to add to that? Sorry, I kind of cut you off because I'm.
No, you're good. I mean, that's like this whole entire quarantine, I played with my dog like every single day. So that's really taken up a lot of my time.
Oh, you're probably missing him so much. I'm sorry. I'm
My
sorry I
mom
brought
gave
up
him
such
like
a subject.
my mom gave him a haircut, like, and literally like botched his face. So he looks a little scary right now.
Oh no. That's adorable though. I'm sure you're missing him. I'm sorry I brought up such a sore
Yeah.
subject. Just means you're gonna have to get your own puppy, right? That's
I
my
know. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm ready for my own dog yet.
I know, I'm with you. All right. So, I mean, last topic that I really wanted to get into with you. I mean, we talked a lot about your journey up until now, right? And, what are some of your goals for these next couple of years, right? Like, I don't want to ask you a 5-year plan. Like, those are always scary questions, right? But, like, what are your goals for your lacrosse career? What are your goals for, women's lacrosse in general? What are your goals for, for you in these next couple of years?
I mean, I think for right now, I'm still kind of feeling out what I want to do with lacrosse. I love lacrosse so much, and I have such a passion for it. And it's definitely something I wanna make a career out of. I just not sure what avenue I really want to attack yet, whether it's college coaching, or I'm even considering staying in like more of a club prep school kind of avenue, or kind of doing my own thing. So I'm thinking I'm kind of using this year as my last year as a grad assistant to see if college coaching is something I want to pursue. I love being with the girls. I love being on a college campus. So it's definitely something I'm kind of leaning towards more. But I think on top of that, I want to continue playing as much as I possibly can with hopefully a new league for our pro team, or possibly making the US team and playing the World Cup. So those are definitely like bigger goals that I'm definitely, that's motivating me to do as much as I can right now, whether it's working out, playing lacrosse. So kind of looking forward to the future in that sense, playing wise. And I think all of our dreams is to get our sport into like the biggest stage, athletic stage, is on the Olympics. So doing whatever I possibly can to kind of help that and pursue that journey and that goal, is definitely part of what I'm gonna try to push for the next 5 years or so, hopefully sooner. But yeah.
Awesome. Really great goals. I mean, you crushed my 5-year plan question there. I mean, I know it's like at our age, it's like the least favorite question. Anytime anyone asks, like, what are
what I'm doing next week?
Yeah. I don't even know what day tomorrow is. Like, I don't know. So, all right, let's get into the fun stuff while we wrap this up. We had a couple questions from our KO17 lacrosse family. Some of our girls, some of our parents, and a couple of them, had to do with, Team USA and you personally. So we'll just hop right into those. So I think let's go with this one, because we haven't really talked too much about how, incredibly talented you are at the draw. And I'm sure you get this question a ton, but what tips or advice would you have for someone who's looking to, advance their draw taking skills?
I would definitely, so something that I didn't kind of really, the draw wasn't something that I really like focused on until I got to college. I think in high school, at least when we were in high school, it wasn't as like thought about, and it was just kind of like, let's do the draw and then let's go play really hard defense or really strong offense. So I think in college that flip kind of switch where the draw was such an important skill to kind of master. And I was lucky enough that I kind of had some skills from high school, but I think perfecting and kind of really improving your reaction skills. So what I do a lot at home is whistles, where literally like I either have someone have a whistle or I pre-recorded whistle, and every time I do it, I draw, and you're just working on really quick movements, because that's kind of what the draw is. Like you could be going against someone who is faster, taller, stronger, but if you're quicker with your wrist, you're going to win the draw every time, just because speed and that reaction is so important in getting the draw to exactly where you want it to be.
Love it. You're going to have to teach me one of these days,
yeah.
okay? All right.
You ever take the draw, Kylie?
That's, I love that you kind of flip the question around on me, but honestly, so this is kind of funny. My sister used to take the draw at islip in high school, and I would be on the draw circle.
Okay.
But he wasn't winning them. Then we'd flip for like one or two, and I'd try and just like rip it out.
Yeah, just throw them off.
Yeah. But that was the only time. So again, like you said, there was no technique whatsoever.
No, oh my gosh.
It was just there as like kind of a distraction pretty much.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a lot that, a lot of technique and a lot of skill and a lot of practice that goes into it. And it's an incredibly important aspect of the game, right? You obviously want as many touches as you possibly can with the ball on your side of the field. So, you guys are huge in making that happen for us. Mm-hmm. But so another question from KO17 Lacrosse. What is your favorite game that you've ever played in?
Oh, I would probably say the 2018 semifinals against Maryland, where we played at Stony Brook, which it was just such an exciting game. We played under the lights. It was very back and forth and kind of like a true like back and forth lacrosse game. Yeah, I would definitely say that one. I think it was great to be like playing on Long Island with everyone. My whole entire family was there, so that was pretty exciting for me.
Pretty good stadium, right?
Yeah, great stadium.
It's my favorite place to play. I love it. I remember watching that game. Well, I didn't watch it while it was happening, but I watched it a couple weeks later. And, like you said before, how you had like that sea of neon green in the stands, like that's all you saw in all the highlights. I thought that was so cool. So that must have been such a cool feeling. All right. So last but not least, you kind of touched on this a little bit as well. We talked about, kind of like your favorite moments of playing with Team USA, but, what would you say is, so maybe not favorite game, but what has been your favorite memory, maybe like a funny story from a Team USA training weekend, or traveling, or a game, or any kind of moments with some of those girls?
Oh, trying to think. I forget who it was. I think we were playing, someone's stick broke. Do you remember that? I feel like maybe it was.
What game was that? Do you remember? Because I feel like I know what you're talking about.
I feel like it was raining and I can't, or maybe it was a practice and like literally someone's stick snapped and was like, it might have been Meg Daddy. It was like,
yeah, I think it was Meg. It was either Meg or
it was probably, and it was, I have a feeling it was like on Michelle Tumalo's arm, who was like the smallest player, and she probably just snapped it over her arm.
That's so funny. And it's like, I feel like that happens a lot in men's lacrosse, right? Because they just hit so hard. So when it happens in women's lacrosse, obviously, like, we hit hard too, right? Yeah. Especially at that level. Like, I know you and I and Tumalo and trainer, like, we come off the field with bruises.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not used to it. I'm not playing as much. I'm like, every time I get hit, I'm like, oh my God. Jeez.
I know, we got to do some one-on-ones or something. Yeah. But no, it's so true. Whenever it happens and the stick breaks in like a women's game or in practice, everyone's like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. During one of our BC games at one point, I don't know what happened, but Dempsey threw the ball and literally the head of her stick just flew off. We're like, okay. She like just trotted off the field. We're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know if that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right, we'll keep the laughs going here. Just a last quick segment I like to call quick finishes. As you know, we like to do those in tight, right on the crease.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much like a speed round. Random questions, fun questions, bucket list questions, whatever it is. But quick kind of like speed round, and then we'll wrap it up here. You ready?
Yep, I think so.
All right. Okay. Favorite place you've traveled to?
Scotland.
Ooh, ice cream or cookies?
Ice cream. That's a hard
Favorite thing to do on a rainy day?
Read now. Yeah.
Now. If you could play any other sport professionally, what would it be?
Beach volleyball.
Ooh, good answer. I like that answer. I'll be on your team.
Yeah.
One thing on your bucket list.
Live in Australia for a few months.
Nice. Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Best concert you've ever been to?
Zac Brown Band, definitely.
Good one.
Jones Beach. Awesome.
Oh, Jones Beach. I was gonna ask if it was at Jones Beach. It has to be. That's one of the best.
That's only place to watch them.
I love it. That's one of the main things I'm missing this summer.
Another concert. Oh.
Yeah. And last but not least, one thing you have on your to-do list tomorrow.
Oof, I have a lot of emails to send, so I have to wake up and do that.
You got to beat Dempsey in a tennis match.
Yes, that's number 2.
That's on there too. That's awesome. First and foremost, I think we just became best friends because you answered all those with the same as my answers.
Yes.
So we're gonna move to Australia for a month, and then we're gonna play on a beach volleyball team and eat tacos the whole time. Cool.
Yeah,
okay.
that sounds amazing.
All right, good deal. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sam. I mean, I'm sure that everybody listening took a bunch of wisdoms from you today. And that is honestly our main goal from these kinds of chats, is just really tapping into, again, like what it's like for me to have met such awesome people like you through, you know, a sport as little as lacrosse, right? That we're trying to grow as big as we possibly want it to be. It's just insane to know of the endless opportunities, and to know that we have, you know, people like you by our side and on our team. And it's cool to be, like we said, on the same squad and just kind of pushing for the same things for the sport and for the future for these next generation girls. And I can't thank you enough for being here and for taking some time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us and share your wisdoms and your experiences. So again, thank you so much. And you are much appreciated from KO17 Lacrosse.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was awesome. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'll see you guys again next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Sam.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.